How well do you think you really know your dog? Wouldn't it be nice to be on the same wavelength all the time, like when you're trying to convince them to take a bath or to not steal your socks? Our furry friends might not speak our language, but their body language and their behavior speak volumes. Today at Pet Spotlight, we're looking at the latest scientific research to learn 13 things you need to know to better understand your dog. Let's jump in. From head to tail, dogs have an entire complex language of non-verbal communication and signals. From the time they're tiny puppies, dogs remarkably display an innate ability to comprehend and interpret a whole host of gestures and cues from us humans. So if you had to guess, is your dog better or worse at understanding you than a toddler? Recent research studies have shown that a dog's social cognitive functioning actually closely resembles that of a 2-year-old toddler. You might think that's impressive, or if you're like me and you know a couple toddlers, you might not be blown away by their communication skills. But suffice to say, our dogs understand way more than we might realize about our own communication and behavior. So what are some things we should be noticing from our dogs? For example, have you ever noticed your dog licking their lips or yawning over and over when you're angry at them or disciplining them? These are some clear signals that they're feeling stressed. Multiple scientific studies conducted by behavioral researchers in the UK and in Brazil showed dogs pictures of human faces with either angry or happy expressions. Dogs will lick their mouths and yawn repeatedly in direct response to seeing an angry human facial expression. This research provides some fascinating evidence that dogs might have a very real functional understanding of emotional cues from us humans. Now, what about tail wagging? We all know tail wagging generally means a happy, excited dog, but it turns out there's a lot more subtlety and nuance to tail wagging communication. Wagging your tail more to the right is known to signal positive emotions like joy or happiness, while wagging your tail more to the left denotes negative emotions like fear or uncertainty. Researchers have even found that dogs can recognize and respond very differently to another dog depending on which way they're wagging their tail. In one study, dogs were shown videos of other dogs wagging more to the right, and they remained perfectly relaxed and their heart rates stayed stable. But when they were shown dogs wagging more to the left, they became anxious and their heart rates shot up dramatically. Now, tails are one thing, but this next clue can be a lot more subtle. Have you observed your dog's ears going forwards or backwards? Ear positioning can communicate a great deal about your dog's mood and mindset. For example, forward ears tend to demonstrate happiness and curiosity, and ears flattened back against the head is a classic sign of anxiety or submission. And then if your dog's ears are perked up with the opening facing forwards, it might signal alertness or visual interest in something. Paying close attention to your dog's ear signals and cues can provide a ton of insight into how they're feeling. Now, instead of visual cues, this next one requires you to open your ears. Growling is another important form of communication for dogs. Dogs can make different types of growls to express different emotions. A loud, deep, rumbling growl often indicates aggression, whereas a higher-pitched, shorter growl might signal joy and excitement like when they're playing with you. So growling doesn't always mean a dog is angry. There's some complex nuances that reveal how they feel based on the type of the growl. What about when your dog rolls over onto their back? Are they always just asking for a belly rub? Well, not necessarily. While rolling onto their back and exposing their belly can signify affection seeking and a request for a pet, it can also reflect some more submissive emotions like surrender, nervousness, or feeling threatened. This is why some dogs might roll over to submit to another larger or more dominant dog, or to you. Some extensive research over the past decade or so has revealed that dogs actually comprehend verbal communication in some shockingly impressive ways. Using advanced brain imaging, scientists have discovered how dogs process words spoken to them. It turns out dogs process language in the same part of the brain as humans. But in addition to words, dogs are also very sensitive to voice tone. They always seem to know when you're upset with them, don't they? A lot of people try this test. You can say something like, "bad dog," but if you do it in a positive, happy voice tone, your dog might not perceive it as a correction. On the other hand, you could say something pleasant and nice, but if you say it in a low, upset kind of voice, they probably are going to feel threatened. Speaking of voice tone, have you ever tried using that high-pitched puppy voice when communicating with your dog? Multiple studies have shown that this type of baby talk actually supports bonding and relational development between dogs and humans. The research found that adult dogs need to hear dog-relevant words like out or potty or come in an exaggerated emotional tone of voice in order to find it meaningful and engaging. So the science is pretty clear. Using puppy talk actually supports bonding. It's not just verbal cues dogs take from us either. Dogs have a remarkable ability to understand pointing and other motions from humans. In controlled experiments, the pointing comprehension skills of dogs strongly resemble those found in human toddlers aged 2 to 3 years old. If you point your dog to a piece of food on the ground, they can usually find it. And there's a lot of other animals out there who would just stare at you blankly. I'm looking at you, cats. But dogs can even watch your eyes and follow your gaze to the door or to the bed when you give a command. Additionally, physical touch like petting is a universally clear way that we communicate positive reinforcement, approval, and affection to our dogs. Some are even more motivated by petting and praise than they are treats. Now, I've never owned one of these dogs. Mine will never turn down a treat, but there's a lot of working dogs and herding dogs who are hardwired to feel satisfied when you're happy with them, even without a treat. So what's the best way to use all these facts to communicate with our dogs? One cool way has come from multiple research groups who successfully taught dogs to recognize and respond to sign language. Some dogs or even owners who are deaf have made particular use of this research. With some time, some patience, and consistent training, even dogs without hearing can learn to comprehend and follow simple signed commands and directions. Communication is obviously a two-way street, and dogs sometimes take more direct measures to get their message across. Check out this cool study. Researchers had dogs observe their favorite toy being hidden in one box among several identical boxes. Then the dog's owners were brought in, and the dogs were able to non-verbally communicate the correct location of the toy and lead their owner to the right box. Just like Lassie going to get help when little Timmy falls in the well, right? This highlights how information can flow between dogs and humans, back and forth, with our canine companions sometimes speaking to us in their own way. There's also some fascinating new research into technologies to enhance communication between owners and dogs. Since we know dog body language tells us a lot, one research group at NC State University has been developing a smart harness that helps us interpret what dogs are trying to say. It has sensors for body position, GPS movement, as well as speakers and vibration to communicate back to the dog, even when they're out of sight. Other sensors tap into things like heart rate and blood pressure to help tell us if dogs are happy, excited, scared, or nervous. Based on all this scientific research we've covered here today, here's some tips to better understand your pup. First, you've got to understand how your own body language, voice, and words all come together to be perceived by your dog. You can undermine yourself by mixing your signals or making dogs anxious by accident instead of being happy to listen and follow your instructions. Pay close attention to their body language, take note of ear position, tail wagging, facial expressions, growling, and more, and try to use positive reinforcement like praise, encouragement, and treats to clearly communicate approval of wanted behaviors. So let us know down in the comments, were any of these specific insights into dog communication new or surprising for you? Share your own stories and experiences communicating with your dogs, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Pet Spotlight for more science-based videos. Thanks for watching. Until next time.